if you are going to say, I need to go out and find people and bring them into the organization, I got to first say, what am I bringing them into? Because if people don't feel comfortable, if they don't feel included, they're going to be saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm here, but I'm out. Because the truth of the matter is, we grew up in a time, as a baby boomer, we grew up in a time where it didn't matter how people treated you. You went into the company, you stayed there 20 years, got your watch, and you're good.
Yeah.
And it really didn't matter if they liked you, if they didn't like you, if you were treated fairly. As long as they let you come to work, you were good. You all's generation don't think like that.
Not at all. Welcome to another episode of the Prosper Brief. I'm your host, Jeremiah Wynn. Today we are at the stately Queen Creek, and I have a very, very, very special guest with me, Mrs. Hattie Hill. Hattie Hill is on the board at Prosper, and today we're going to dive into her life. Stay tuned. Attention emerging leaders in food service and hospitality. Are you ready to accelerate your career? If so, join us for the Accelerate Conference on October 22nd through the 24th at the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas. Gain insights from over 1,000 collective years of business and leadership experience. Engage in more than 30 focused breakout sessions. Be inspired by 5 empowering general sessions featuring industry experts. Don't miss this opportunity to build valuable connections and elevate your leadership talent to give your business the competitive edge it deserves. Register today at prosperaccelerate.com. Hattie, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and excited to be a part of your podcast.
I'm excited to have you, and I gotta say thank you so much for the hospitality you gave me and my family when we went to Dallas a couple weeks ago. Like, they have been loving Auntie Hattie this entire time, so I'm excited to host you here in Arizona.
Oh, thank you. Tell them, come see Auntie Hattie anytime. I got her.
Okay, I got you. The one thing I will say though,
okay,
next time you gotta call me before you come out here, because you should not be wearing a jacket in 115-degree weather.
No, it's so cold inside. I burned it up outside, but inside, it's cool. So come on now.
Okay, well, I know we have a time crunch here, so we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Okay, awesome.
I got a couple questions, but we're just gonna do what we usually do. Okay?
Absolutely.
You've had such an impactful career. Can you take us back to the beginning? What started this whole process of you in the corporate world?
So career, let me start with where it started, was with my mom. I grew up on a farm in Arkansas, extremely poor family, single mother, 6 kids, and we grew up with the basic values of faith, family, hard work, and more than anything else, education. My mother saw education as your solution to a better life. And so she really instilled that in all of us. So I went to college, undergraduate degree, political science and history. I was going to be a lawyer. Then I met some lawyers and changed my mind.
Like we all have.
Right? And then I got a master's in psychology, which really put me on the people trail. So I've been in people all of my life. And honestly, I got into business accidentally. I was a director of training for the state in Texas. My background is psychology and rehabilitation, and I happened to be having dinner with a good friend at Thanksgiving, and she said, you know this training stuff, and she said, I've got a new leadership team. I'm the only woman. It's all men. It was an engineering organization, and she said, could you help me put something together? And I said, sure, and I did it. I was eating food at her house, so I had to. So we got together after I put it together, and then later she called me and she said, we pay people to do what you did for us. Oh. I said, really? And thus we began Hattie Hill Enterprises, and 35 years later, we're still going strong.
Wow. Would you say that she was one of your influences or like your mentors as you got into this space?
I've had a couple influencers. My mom, of course, always, because that's where I learned truly the value of hard work. And so you bring that into corporate. I'm an early riser. Corporations start early. But I really think one of my first real mentors who started teaching me the business was Kelleher from Southwest Airlines. Herb was an awesome mentor for me, and he was all about people and culture. And he really believed that the bottom line to your business performance was people. And so the work we did for them was always about how to make it better for our people. And he continued that through his career. We helped to drive a lot of the people and culture work in Southwest Airlines back when they started it. And it just totally put me on the track of leadership, people, and the business bottom line all equal the same thing.
Did that shape your priority on inclusion in the workplace?
So when, the whole idea about inclusion in the workplace really started, and actually we were doing leadership and culture and customer service, and Herb was the one who said, Hattie, I went to this conference in the financial district in New York, and they were talking about this thing, diversity, and I didn't even know, he didn't really know what it meant, but it's sort of their affirmative action thing, but it's better than that. And he said, do you know it? And I said, well, I've heard of it because we had done some work with IBM. And he said, well, I want you to go learn it and come back and teach it to us. And so that was really my first really moving into the space of understanding what inclusion and then belonging, because the differences is one piece of the puzzle, but how you include people is totally different. I can have different people at the table, but if I don't include them, they're just sitting there. So this whole idea of really embracing perspectives and people and how all of that comes together for bottom line business really kind of started with Southwest Airlines, because Southwest had this hope, when the worst of corporate America was putting profit at the top of the line, they put people at the top because he felt like people drove profit, and that would continue to build customers, and then you're back up to people again.
Wow.
Yeah, so very, very simple process.
So when you first got that call and you were going to learn more about that, were you skeptical about learning more about the diversity, the affirmative action things?
Here's what happened, because I was very familiar with the affirmative action work, right?
Yeah.
When similar to what's happening now, when we were trying to move from affirmative action to diversity, there was an outcry. People were like, no, we can't do that. It's going to wash it down. And actually, when we moved to diversity and inclusion, and then diversity, inclusion, and belonging, we did it too well. Because a lot of the fear that's sitting in the workplace today was based on that work. So people literally became afraid that we had gotten too far on the pendulum. Now, here's what you have to remember, and especially this is true for this generation, that diversity is just a fact. We don't have to play with the words. It's just a fact. Inclusion is a choice. And equity is a journey that we probably will, it'll take the next 100 years for us to get to equitable in our society. But don't confuse the fact that just because people don't like labels, that there's equity in our communities, because there's just not. But we have to keep working toward it and not let the labels pull us in the wrong direction.
Okay, so now let's shift gears, right?
Okay.
Along with this conversation, at Prosper, you guys are big on building a better table.
Right.
So when you hear that term, building a better table, how do you want people to feel from that?
So here's what building a better table means to me. And this starts, I go back to my mom. My mom always said, if you're sitting at the table, or if you go and do something, leave it better than you found it, because I'm a woman, because I'm a person of color, because when I started my company, I was young, in my late 20s. So you always need to leave something better than you found it. So that became my first mantra of how I lived my life, and how I entered into the business world, because I was sitting at the table with mostly older white men who was the CEOs and running the business, and I was there to be a part of their human resources, because that was really our role. So first of all, be open to make sure that you leave it better than you found it, which means that you got to leave the door open for people and let them come in. So I say to all of our customers, and when I would be in human resources, I'd say, wait a minute, what about this? Could we add this person to the table? And then once you bring them to the table, the most critical part of this is that we make sure they feel a part of the conversation. And so that, where I see Prosper really benefiting, is that, one, we're leaving it better than we found it. We're setting the table, but also helping people to feel included when they get to the table. And we want to leave role models to attract talent to this industry, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Make the organization better and make the industry better.
Let's say out there you're a leader in a legacy brand, right? Maybe you're not the CEO, but maybe you're a VP, you have your own department. What is the first step towards building this better table within an organization?
Look at your organizational environment. That is so important. If you are going to say, I need to go out and find people and bring them into the organization, I got to first say, what am I bringing them into? Because if people don't feel comfortable, if they don't feel included, they're going to be saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm here, but I'm out. Because the truth of the matter is, we grew up in a time, as a baby boomer, we grew up in a time where it didn't matter how people treated you. You went into the company, you stayed there 20 years, got your watch, and you're good.
Yeah.
And it really didn't matter if they liked you, if they didn't like you, if you were treated fairly. As long as they let you come to work, you were good. You all's generation don't think like that.
Not at all.
And we got to deal with y'all. No, but I think it's real.
Yeah.
It's you have to understand that people will walk in, they think they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them.
Yeah.
Is this a place where I'm going to be comfortable?
Yeah.
Where I can give my best, where I can be creative. So I think we have to rethink that as the people in charge right now. How you include people is going to tell you how long they stay.
What is the gauge, right? Because I can be included, and you can include someone, but how can you really give them a voice and empower them?
Listening is so powerful. I mean, just listening to their ideas. The one thing I love about the younger generation is that you guys are willing to share. And where sometimes too much, but that's not here nor there. No.
I've been on TikTok lately. They're sharing everything.
I know, right? Well, and here's the other thing. You all are so much smarter than we were because of TikTok and ChatGPT and Google. I mean, you can Google everything is like an art form. And so we have to be willing to listen as leaders to understand what is it that you really want. How do you want to be addressed, included, not included, what's important to you, not just for your work, but for your whole. I'm all about the whole person, your family, that, things you're involved in. If we do that, then you feel a part. If we don't, you feel isolated.
Yeah. So let's take a step back, right, from the diversity aspect of it. And let's go into just the generational gaps, right?
Okay.
So from the generation that currently is holding the C-suite, and at Prosper, what we're really trying to do is bridge that gap, right? How do you feel we can influence the leaders at the top right now to not only allow the next generation to have a voice, but to actually be in these roles where they are able to make decisions?
So I think the first thing is to start with the C-suite, which is why I love Prosper, because we always start at the top, because that's where the influence is, and get those leaders to see the benefit to their business, because everybody's trying to hit the bottom line. So what is the benefit to me being a part of this as a leader? How is it going to help my business? And we know that business is run by people. So I have to get that in line first. Then secondly, I have to ask leaders to identify people who can really help them learn. So that means those next level leaders in their organizations, pull them out. They're qualified, they're smart, they've been there for years, they know your organization, they know how to attract people. So get those people involved so that they can then help you help your organization.
And is this what we're doing at Prosper?
Absolutely, you know it. The Prosper model, and I'm at the age, space, and time after 30 plus years in business where everything has to make a difference. It has to be, you're leaving a legacy, right? Yeah. And so the goal of Prosper, which was to get current CEOs and C-suite leaders to identify that Prosper Accelerated community, which is that next level leader in their organization, and then to take that to the Accelerate conference, which we're launching in October, which is going to engage another set of leaders, because you can't put everybody in the Accelerator program. So you have that next level of leaders who are learning and closing their gaps and honing their skills. So what you're doing is creating this history of leadership development through the Prosper community. And that in itself is just pure gold.
When you were young in your career, did you have anything similar to the Accelerate program that you could have been able to help you to grow?
The only thing I really saw when I was young in my career is being a part of a sorority where they were always developing, right? And so in my sorority, we always participated in programs. But my mom was always go learn wherever you can learn. So I would take courses. But for the one real benefit that I had, the last job that I had before I started my company, my boss said to me when I was director of training, he said, this government is probably going to move too slow for you. And he saw it in my personality. He said, so if you ever want to do part-time work, there's these companies that hire you to go do day trips and you can go and teach and you can make extra money. And he literally gave me the brochure to the company that launched me into my business.
Have you met a lot of young leaders who just do not have that and they're like searching for a voice to help pull them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of the young leaders, baby boomers kind of get impatient with young leaders.
Yeah.
And they want everything and they want it now. And so what we're trying to do with Accelerate is to bring those people to the forefront and say a part of our role is to help you to grow and mentor and develop. So that's why it's so critical.
So let's move towards Accelerate.
Okay.
So you've kind of given us a little bit about what Accelerate is, but who is Accelerate really for?
So I think Accelerate is really a couple of people. One, you want the C-suite leaders there so they can engage and be role models, because young people especially like to see people that look like themselves. The next thing to Accelerate is your next level leaders. It's not so much about the position in the company, because this industry, there's a lot of different job titles, but is who do I look around as a CEO or a C-suite leader and say, these people are ready for the next level. And I want them to start getting the skills that they need to be successful. And then what they do is say, yes, register this person. I want them to go. And then they will take our Prosper Edge assessment, which is the Prosper tool that we custom developed. And once they take that assessment, they'll really understand what the skills are that they need to develop. And along with their leader, their manager, say, now let's put together an action plan that's going to help me close my gaps and then be ready to move to the next level in the organization. What I love about the Accelerate program and the Prosper community, you have the content, you have the context that you need, and you have those crucial connections through the community so that if I don't know, once I leave, I can still pick up the phone. And that's the important part.
And how does this align with the state of the restaurant industry as it comes to the workers and the leaders?
It's, the restaurant industry, and I've been in it all my career. I mean, it built my business. I love the restaurant industry. What we have to fight is the reputation that we're only a part-time job industry. We have to let people know that this industry has marketing, it has legal, it has finance, it has all the jobs in a corporation that any other company will have. And we are desperate for talent. And so that war for talent is real. And if we can get people in and they can see what all we have to offer through the Accelerate conference, through the Prosper community, not only will they come, but they'll also stay.
What leadership gaps do you believe that the Prosper Accelerate conference is going to fill within a different organization in the industry?
The biggest leadership gap, I think, will come with knowing what your capabilities are. That Prosper Edge assessment that we've been working on to customize, I think it really starts there. I need to understand where I am, literally, in terms of my capabilities. The other component that I think it really helps is the fact that it's supported by the CEO. A lot of times the CEO has no idea what their people are doing, what they're participating in, but because people for the Accelerate conference has been chosen by the CEO or a Prosper Accelerator, they already have the exposure that they need in the company. That says the company chose you, you've been chosen, so they want you to be successful. So part of that combination of C-suite recognition, then being able to assess where I want to go, then going from there to building those skills, and then turning around after the conference is over, because a lot of the conferences it's over, it's just over. Yeah. Once our conference is over, you still have an opportunity to connect with the community. You still have an opportunity to participate in our podcast, our newsletters. Let's keep that community connected even past the conference.
So what would you say to those who have not been chosen?
If you've not been chosen, find a way to get yourself in those positions. with the Accelerate conference, you could actually afford to probably go yourself without your company giving you permission to go, because the registration fee is not as expensive. But most of the leaders at this level have their own T&E, travel and entertainment budgets that they can afford to go. You want people who have ingenuity, who are thriving and striving to be good leaders, and they really want this. So you want to go ask. You know, one of the things you can do is look in your company and say, who's been chosen as accelerator? Take that person to lunch and say, listen, I saw you in this accelerator program. It seems interested. I'm interested. Seems interesting. I'm interested in getting involved. How can I do it? And let that person kind of carry your water to the next place.
Why is it urgent for leaders to invest in the next generation of leaders?
Oh my goodness, the war on talent is real. I mean, it is so real. The war for talent, but also we run our businesses because of people. Yeah. And in the restaurant industry, I don't care how great your food is. If I can't get it out the kitchen and on the table, it's a problem, right? Yeah. And so we have to really understand that every industry is fighting for good people. And so we want to be that industry of choice. The food and hospitality industry is a fun industry. You know, you love it. It's great people. But we have the reputation of being closed, and it's a small community, and you don't want people. We have to let people know we are open. We want you here. It's a great place to build a long-term career, because the success of your business really depends on people.
Yeah. So what excites you most about how Prosper Accelerate is going to develop the next generation of leaders?
So when you think about developing the next generation of leaders, what Prosper Accelerate can do first and foremost is to make sure they have a voice. So you come in, you talk about what your needs are, you understand the business. So we're helping them to figure out what their interests are. The younger people these days are curious. So you don't come into an organization and go on one track. You have a couple different tracks you can go on. So feeding that curiosity. The next thing we want to do is let them feel like we want them. We want you here. And you know, it's really tough in this day and time with a lot of the corporations having the hybrid workplace and people not at work every day. So you have to do some extra things as a leader to really pull people in. And then once you get to know them, find what their interests are. Because if you key into my interests, you got me. I'm all in to be there and be dedicated and committed. But very often the companies don't get that close to their people. I think that the one term I would use, we have to be as leaders extremely people-centric. That's where the secret sauce for our business is. I'm able to connect with people, understand what their needs are, and then try to meet those needs to drive business results.
Is there a fear involved with these leaders who are afraid to be people-centric, develop the next generation? Is there fear involved, or what's the hesitancy?
You know, I think fear it's a tough word, but it's probably a real word. Fear, lack of understanding, time. As leaders, and especially baby boomers, as they're in power, we're coming from that space. It's, I tell you what to do and you do it. Yeah. The younger generation, you guys don't buy that. So they're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? So the other part of that, even more so than fear, is just lack of comfort in making the adjustments that are going to be needed. Because if I'm people-centric, that means I have to be empathetic. I have to have compassion. I actually have to care about what you think. Yeah. I have to respect your differences and how you want to approach the world. And for a lot of us who grew up in a time where I'm your boss, I tell you what to do and you do it, that's a different experience.
What role do you think Prosper Accelerate is going to play in not only shaping the culture of a company, but the culture of the industry as well?
Oh, that's a great question, Jeremiah. Let's talk about the company first. What makes it so important for the company is that when you attend a conference like Accelerate, you begin to look at your own values and purpose and mission. Are we aligned with today's world? If we stay in our own heads as a company, we don't grow. And so I need to get out there where I can grow and learn. Is there different expectations? The other thing is to model. I want to see the model so I can elevate the standards in my own company. So what are some best practices when you attend the conference? What are other people doing to help in their culture so I can take those things and take them back into my company. Yeah. So you think of it as I learn, I model, and then most importantly, and this is where you cannot even put a price on it, is that you build engagement and trust of your people because they see you as the CEO of the company trying to be better. And that's what is so critical. It's great that we have standards. It's great that we have vision and purpose and values, but that evolves over time and you get better. So it's good for the company. Now let's talk about the industry because that is so critical. We love the food and hospitality industry. It's a fabulous industry. We've known that. What's the value? Well, first, and this is something that is so critical to me, that it sets us up as an industry of choice. So when people see us getting better, they want to know what's exciting. What are y'all doing? I've been in the hotel where people just walk through the lobby. What is this conference? So you're really starting to put yourself out there as an industry that authentically cares about people and their growth. The second thing is you become a trendsetter. We're learning trends, we're bringing knowledge, we're trying best practices. So then you want to attract people. I remember back in the day when the whole idea of diversity first started, and McDonald's was one of our clients. And we went to IBM because there was no one in the industry who was doing it. So we went to IBM for best practices. I'll never forget that conversation. The guy who was running their program then was Ted Childs, a wonderful gentleman. And he basically schooled us on what this is and how you should be doing it. We want to be that industry that people come to and say, how do I learn? What do I do? What is this? So that's important.
Wow.
And then the last piece that is so critical to business today is that this whole idea of leadership agility, you got to be willing to move and you got to move fast. Yeah. And so we want to let other industries know how to move fast. We want to show them how that's done, whether it's through technology, it's through community, all of the things that you need to do to be successful. So it makes us a model for other industries to follow.
I love that. Just being able to be a model in the industry to where maybe in the auto industry, they're reaching out and they're asking us, hey, what did you guys do to work? It's going to it's going to be a model that it's going to set such a great precedence for honestly just organizations and business in the country.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So with this being the first year for Prosper Accelerate, let's look 10 years from now. What does success look like 10 years from now?
Here's the goal that David and I said when we first started this conversation about the accelerators, right, was to have 100 a year for 10 years. So that's 1,000, right? So what's 1,000 times 10?
10,000.
100,000? A million? Could we have what could we do with that? What could we do with those numbers?
Yeah.
If we really leaned into it, think about if 1,000 accelerators touched 10 people and brought them into our community. I mean, you can do so much. You can go so vast. And we can be the industry of choice, especially for all people to come and live their life dreams. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a number, let's say so much as we want qualified, connected, caring, leaders who really believe in this community and want to be a part of the community.
I'm excited for the future of the restaurant industry and just what Prosper is going to be doing. But before we come to a close, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
What is your favorite meal growing up?
Anything my mother was cooking. I grew up on a farm, so it was now I will tell you my favorite dessert. Okay. Because my mother cooked it every time for my birthday. Blackberry cobbler.
Really?
So we were on a farm, so we had vines. You go pick your own blackberries. It's all fresh. You come back, you bring it to her, and she prepare it. But we grew up cooking. I mean, a house full of women. It was always good food, and it is truly the way we showed love. Yeah. And so whatever you wanted, my mother would prepare it, and it was always good.
I love that, and that's what I love about being a part of the restaurant industry is that
Yeah.
It just makes you feel love. There's
Yeah.
soul. There's just heart. It's just
Yeah.
welcoming and everything. So I want to thank you for being a part of the Prosper Brief.
Thank you.
This has been such a great episode. I feel special. Don't forget to give me your autograph.
All right. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Thank
See you guys
you.
next time on the Prosper Brief.